And this morning, we're joined by Congressman James Comer, who's just gotten back from spending time at the border. Congressman, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
So my first question is, Congressman, the trip, where exactly were you? And I guess what exactly did you glean from visibly and visually being there yourself?
Well, I flew into El Paso on Sunday. I spent all day Monday starting at a detention facility in El Paso, and then spending the majority of the day in Columbus, New Mexico, meeting with Border Patrol agents, touring detention facilities, listening to local residents. And I can tell you, things are much worse on the border than I ever imagined. The border is wide open. There are hundreds of unaccompanied minors crossing the border every day, and there are increased activities of crime from the drug cartel and human smuggling. It's just a terrible situation. The president needs to take it seriously and get down there and secure the border.
And Congressman, from what you've seen now with your own eyes, when you say there's a problem, is this a systemic problem where essentially, maybe like we saw with unemployment when COVID first hit, that the infrastructure and the technology wasn't made to have so many people try to apply at once? Is this the same thing at the border where maybe the setup we have and the system we have is not made to have so many people kind of surge at once? Is that what needs to be updated?
No, what needs to be updated is the fact that Joe Biden canceled construction of the border wall. The border wall was working. Everywhere where the border wall construction was halted, you see trails through there like deer trails in the woods, and it's just people crossing over. The Border Patrol agents, the local residents said the wall was working. We also need to have a military presence on the border because this is a national security crisis. Just a few weeks ago, they detained some foreign nationals that were on the FBI watch list. We've got instances of the drug cartel on a daily basis, smuggling drugs across the border, smuggling young girls across the border for the sex trade. This is a national security crisis and a humanitarian crisis. They need to secure the border. And because we're compassionate people in America and we want to help these people, we need to set up FEMA and Red Cross operations all along the border to provide humanitarian aid to these desperate families, but not let them set foot on American soil. Because when these kids set foot on American soil, then they're in the American welfare system for the next 10 years. And it's a burden on the taxpayers. It's an incentive for more people to cross the border illegally. And we just got to absolutely change directions with respect to border policy.
Now, you bring up the president, Congressman. The president has put in a proposal for the 2022 budget, $1.2 billion when it comes to things at the border, like updating the technology, modernizing ports of entry, and also putting some of that money toward humane treatment of migrants in our detention facilities. Do you think that money is something that you'll support and Congress will support going forward? Because it sounds like you say something needs to be done, and that has been proposed by the White House.
That is a joke, because what needs to be done is the president needs to go down to the border and have a press conference and say, this border is now secure. We have troops along the border. If you cross this border illegally, you're going to face consequences. And the longer he turns a blind eye to the border, the more we're going to see illegals crossing the border. The surge will continue to increase, and we're going to see more drugs come across that border. We're going to see more young girls forced to cross that border into the sex trade. And I think that if he changed his rhetoric, focused on the border, had a military presence on the border, then I think you would see the number of illegals attempting to cross the border drastically reduce.
Now, Congressman, what about people trying to cross the border legally? Not everybody who's trying to come into the country right now is trying to do so illegally, and not everybody is someone who has ill intentions. At this point, did you notice a lot of people trying to cross the border for a reason that is totally something that's normal? Maybe they want to come to America to seek maybe a better life or higher wages?
Absolutely. And I would say that the majority of people who try to cross the border are doing it with the right intentions in their heart. They want to live in the greatest country in the world. They want better opportunities. But we have a legal process to do that. And when those people cross the border illegally and jump the line from the people who are legitimately following the law, trying to become American citizens, then you've got a terrible system there. And it's a smack in the face of the people from other countries who are trying to come to the country for the same reasons you mentioned, for greater opportunity. So just because people want to get over here for the right reasons doesn't make it right, because we're a country of laws. We have to have a country that has a secure border, and right now we don't. And what we're seeing are sanctuary cities popping up all over the United States now, because they're taking these unaccompanied minors and they're getting them out of those facilities, because you can only keep those minors for 72 hours. So they're shipping them to motels. We've got contractors apparently buying up old motels in every city in America now, and they're taking these kids there. They're automatically enrolled in the welfare system. They're trying to put them in the foster care system, and it's just not a sustainable policy in America. We've got to get serious about the border. That's why so many Republicans have been going to the border, having press conferences on the border, allowing the media to go to the border. We want the American people to know how bad a national security crisis and humanitarian crisis it really is right now.
And Congressman, what can Congress itself do, the Senate and the House? Because this is not an issue, although there's a lot of a spotlight on it right now. This is not an issue that only the Biden administration has faced. It's something that we've had as an issue with the Trump administration and administrations even before that. What can Congress do? If you say that there's a lot of momentum and a lot needs to be done, and there's agreement on that in Washington, why are we not seeing something being done?
We're trying to do it right now. The Republicans are trying to force Joe Biden to pick up construction of the wall again. We appropriated funds in the last Congress, in the last administration, to build the wall. Joe Biden went in on the first day and signed an executive order halting construction. Every Border Patrol agent, every local resident said the wall made a huge difference. So we're trying to, through the court system, we're trying to get Joe Biden to follow the law and finish construction of the law, do what the previous Congress and previous administration approved. We're also trying to force Joe Biden's hand to go down there and secure the border. The fact that he won't allow the media down there to see what is actually going on in these detention facilities says a lot. The fact that they won't set foot down there. I tell people I spent 15 hours on Monday on the border, and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris haven't spent 15 seconds on the border. This is one of the biggest problems in America right now. And if something isn't done, then we're going to continue to see surges of people crossing that border. And that includes people in the drug cartel. That includes foreign nationals. That includes people on the day we were there in El Paso from 30 different countries that are crossing that border. So we're going to continue to message. We're going to continue to visit the border and invite the media there. And hopefully we can hold Joe Biden's feet to the fire and go down there and set up a military presence. But from a policy standpoint, if he would just go back to the Trump policy on the border, that would solve a lot of problems. You're still going to have illegals getting across the border, but the number of illegals crossing the border will be significantly reduced, and that would be a temporary win.
Well, Congressman, we've run out of time. Thanks for joining us this morning, something I'm sure we'll be talking about more in the future. And we again, appreciate you making time for us here in Evansville early in the morning.
Always a pleasure to be on your show.